Okay, guys. All right, we got a stream. Okay, good. We got a few bodies in here. Let's give it just a minute here before we dig into this. All right, this is Joe Imbriano, the Fullerton Informer, folks. We got a special guest. A lot of you have requested that I have Daniel back on. Daniel's got a lot of important information tonight. Let me just make sure. First of all, is the audio okay? Can I see some comments confirming the audio? There's nothing.
One.
Do we have audio? Can you guys hear?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's get right into this. Introducing Daniel once again from the studios of the Fullerton Informer, P.O. Box 4121, Fullerton, California 92834. On the web at thefullertoninformer.com, WiFiDangers.com, and 5GDangers.com, and VaxDangers.com, and CellTowerDangers.com. You see, folks, the Fullerton Informer covers all the issues that are out there. I'm not shilling to try to keep your eyes off the ball, folks. I get your eyes on every ball on the court, okay? You need to understand something. When I deal with things, I deal with all the things. There's a lot of stuff going on out there right now. I'm not going to get into that right this minute, and I'm not going to get into too much discussion about this. But the facts are the facts, folks, and we got to talk about the facts. So what we're going to do here tonight, since the government has so much control over what you think and what you've been taught and where your money goes and how much they get to take from you, and now where you get to wear a mask and what you get to do, we're going to talk about what the government's all about. And we're going to have Daniel here tonight expose some things you've probably never heard in your life, and you're going to want to have your friends tune in, you want to have your friends tune in and share this video. But Daniel, please take it away, buddy.
Okay, folks, when Joe and I get together, we talk about things that nobody talks about, and you're going to hear things that you're never going to hear anywhere else. And tonight I want to get into a little more esoteric topics and kind of get a little bit big picture on some of this stuff. So these occultists that are running our world are basically a solar cult, a death cult. And they have this thing called the season of sacrifice every year, the satanic season of sacrifice, which lasts 40 days and 40 nights. It starts on March 22nd, 322, and ends on May 1st, May Day, Walpurgisnacht, Walpurgis night. And that's where you get the word purge from as well. So if we look throughout history during these 40 days, how many false flags, how many wars were started, how many massive coal events have happened, it's almost everything. Literally almost everything has started during this time frame. And as you can see, there's a little reflection there. Why is it backwards?
You're fine.
Okay, so as you can see, the Skull and Bones, their fraternity is 322, March 22nd. The Satanists actually start 3 days earlier on the 19th. And if you look back, you can see the WHO had their meeting on the 19th. And then we started this lockdown on the 22nd. The CDC was posting for jobs last year in November 15th, 2019. They were posting for jobs on LinkedIn and these other profiles where they were hiring people for quarantines. And the open period was until May 15th. We know it's a 2-week quarantine. So if you back out 14 days from May 15th, you're there on May Day again, 5-1, area 51, 51%. So now I'm going to get back a little bit into what they're doing here. So if everybody's scared and everybody's wearing masks, everybody's scared to go to the park, go to the beach, everybody's in fear and complying with the government, what we're doing is we're exuding fear energy, which the demonic realm is actually feasting off of. So this is why they call this the season of sacrifice. My postulation is the quarantine's going to end on May 1st, and we're going to see some crazy laws passed or some. So we got to really watch out for May 1st.
Well, May Day is always a day that bad things happen. So whether or not it ends on that day or not, we know that they got something up their sleeve, don't they?
Yes, and also the word quarantine is quar, for, and 14, 10. So 4 and 10, 4 times 10 is 40. Now, let me get back into this skull and bones thing again. This is going to be a story you're never going to hear anywhere else. So we've been told that Christopher Columbus discovered America. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue and discovered America. But he actually didn't. He never even hit America. He landed in Colombia. That's why it's named after him. It's Christopher Columbus, Colombia. So if we look back at the truth of this story, Christopher Columbus and his fleet of ships were pirates that were sent out by the Catholic Church, you know, by way of Rome through the Spanish Empire, which they were controlling. So the reason they sent them out is to stake out a base for the Catholic Church, because the Catholic Church isn't a church. It's actually a paramilitary organization with all kinds of Vatican assassins and Knights of Malta and Knights of Columbus and various other assassin groups and PSYOP groups. So they sent him to stake out a base. He did. It's called Columbia. Now, the reason you send out pirates to do something for you is because pirates will be pirates. They do all kinds of stuff, and you don't even actually have to pay them, because they make money by looting others. They steal from others, and that way it doesn't get back to you. If you're not funding somebody, then you're safe. They're pirates. They're doing what they're going to do. So now these pirates who were sent out to stake out a base for the Vatican did in Colombia. And what they were doing is they were stealing from all these other people that were sailing and trading between all those islands in the Caribbean. And so in actuality, they're the pirates of the Caribbean, the real ones, not Johnny Depp and these emasculated homos that you see on the movie screen, but Christopher Columbus and his fleet of ships were the pirates of the Caribbean. Now, what kind of flag is on a pirate ship? Skull and bones. Keep that in mind. So now these pirates of the Caribbean, they were stashing all the gold. And by the way pirates steal from you is they sail a skeleton ship, which doesn't have all the creature comforts on it. It's a lot lighter. These were huge wooden heavy ships. So you got your ship with all the creature comforts and all your goods on it. They catch up to you. They force you to stop. They board, and then they do their thing. Also, the pirates are known to steal flags, which is where we get the beginning of false flags. So this is how they do stuff. They use somebody else's flag and then blame somebody else on it. So anyhow, these pirates of the Caribbean were stealing gold and stuff on the high seas in the Caribbean, and stealing it all and storing it on an island we now call Puerto Rico. And anyone else that was figured out what these pirates were doing, they knew if they came to land, there's very few of them. It's easy to just catch them all and put them into jail or execute them. So they were staying on the oceans where they were doing their crimes, where nobody could catch them. So anyone that was figuring out their scam, the pirates of the Caribbean were catching them and imprisoning them on an island we now call Cuba. Now let's fast forward to modern day. By the way, the color of a pirate flag, black and white. Now let's fast forward to modern day. Who's running America on paper? They tell us it's Washington, D.C., right? Okay. So what's Washington, D.C.? District of Columbia, District of Christopher Columbus. So why are we being controlled by Columbia? Has anyone ever thought of that? Now, within Washington, D.C., who's in control? Who's running the show?
And look at the Columbia Broadcasting logo with the eyeball watching you.
Yeah.
CBS.
Columbia University. Oh, if we start going into the things that are Columbia, we're going to be here all night. Now, who's running the show within the District of Columbia? I mean, they're changing these puppet politicians like underwear every 2 years, 4 years, whatever. But who's always there? It's the military-industrial complex, which is run by the intelligence agencies. So the CIA is running all the intelligence agencies. The FBI and the NSA are like their gophers. So who's in control of the CIA? Well, there's a movie which explains it pretty well called The Good Shepherd with Matt Damon, which shows you that the Skull and Bones fraternity, or the Bonesmen, are the top CIA guys, like George Bush Sr., Jr., John Kerry, and these guys. So they're presented as politicians, but they're actually CIA. So the Skull and Bones are running the District of Columbia, just like the Skull and Bones set up Columbia. Now above us, we have British Columbia. So British Christopher Columbus. Now, let's go to the next step. Who's stealing all American people's money? Who's stealing all our loot? Well, the government is, but how are they doing that? They're doing it through an alphabet soup corporation called the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service. Now, where is the Internal Revenue Service headquartered? You would think it's in the District of Christopher Columbus, right? But nope, it's in Puerto Rico. Why? Because that's where the Pirates of the Caribbean stash their loot and always have been. Go on your, I would say anyone still using Google is part of the problem, but go in your search box and type in Puerto Rico headquarters of the IRS and shock yourself. Now, where are the Pirates of the Caribbean? Where's the CIA imprisoning all the folks who are exposing what they're doing? Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, where they got their, you know, they had their guy, Fidel Castro, Freemason, with an IMDb profile guarding their torture centers. So he has an IMDb profile, folks. Can you believe that? Anyhow, so now let's go to the next level. Where is the United States? Now, I know that sounds like a stupid question. It would be like me and Joe are sitting on it, but actually that's not the case. The United States is actually the District of Christopher Columbus, Puerto Rico, Guam, Tool Island, and a couple of atolls and a couple other properties. The 50 states, the 48 contiguous, and Alaska and Hawaii are actually incorporated underneath the United States as cattle stalls, which of course makes us cattle. Now, let's go to the next.
And isn't that amazing? Because that's exactly how the people that control us look at us, as human cattle.
Now, let's go to the next step. If I asked you, draw me a pirate, what would you do? You would draw a guy with a patch over his left eye, of course. It's always the left eye. So you would draw a guy with a patch over his left eye. So we're being asked to believe that these guys that were master sailors and thieves and all that are one-eyed and don't have any depth perception.
Missing
or anything.
an arm. They're drunk all the time.
Right.
Right.
Well,
yeah, they got one arm, they got a bottle of rum, they got one eye, and they managed to pull all that off.
They managed to pull all the District of Christopher Columbus all around the world off. Now, if Madonna comes out on stage and has a patch over her eye, we know she's, you know, shilling for the Illuminati and putting, you know, doing a sigil fest on the television screen for all the people to give their energy to it. So she's shilling for the Illuminati. Yet we forget to realize that the Pirates of the Caribbean are showing us they're the Illuminati by putting the one patch over the left eye. So that's actually who they are. Now, let's look at what is the Illuminati. The Illuminati was incorporated in 1775 by a Jesuit priest named Adam Weishaupt in Bavaria, Germany, which was the Nazi capital of Germany. And Bavaria is where BMW is made. BMW stands for Bavarian Motor Works, and you can see the BMW logo is actually a swastika. They just put a circle around it where they put BMW inside, and they painted the squares checkerboard blue and white, but it's actually just overlaid on a swastika. Now, these folks who are the Pirates of the Caribbean are this, what you would call, Vatican assassin squad, and the Skull and Bones and the Pirates of the Caribbean are one and the same, and they're running what you would call our government. Now, when people think about government, they don't, what is the government? Is it the buildings? Is it the people? I mean, what is it? What's going on? The word government is a compound word, govern and ment. The word govern comes from the Latin gubernare, which means to control. The word ment comes from the Latin mentis, which means the mind, to control the mind, mind control. So government is the corporation of mind control. You see, when Joe and I are talking about stuff, we're not talking about any conspiracy theories. We're not interested in any theories. We're interested in the truth and facts. The only place you're getting theories from, all the conspiracy theories, is from the corporation of mind control.
On the television.
And some of these folks that are putting out these conspiracy theories for them are their subcorporations like the CDC, the WHO, NASA, and these frauds. These are all conspiracy theory pushing organizations. Now, the CDC, one of the founders of the CDC was Dr. Joseph Mengele, Dr. Death, who operated in the United States under Dr. Green. So this was founded by the Nazis. One of the founders of NASA was Werner von Braun, who used to give those telecasts, which Disney used to do about all the stuff that they were doing. This was one of Hitler's top guys. So there's another one that's been created by this Nazi group. So you see, we're not into any conspiracy theories at all. Me and Joe are only into truth, which is what knowledge is. You see, if you can't be told something and then go look at it in the real world and apply it and see that it works, applying the scientific method, it's not actually true. So all this stuff that we're being told, like, you know, the towers, planes hit towers and then they were dustified by kerosene when the kerosene doesn't even melt the tiki torches in the backyard. That's a conspiracy theory. Where's the proof of that? There's no evidence of that. So the word science, people get very confused because we've been put under all this scientism. The word science actually comes from the Latin word sciere, which means to know or knowledge. So the word conscience, con, with science, knowledge, with knowledge. So unconscious would mean without knowledge. So being a conscious human being means being aware of the bigger picture that the self is existing in, as well as understanding the self, like what's going on inside of you. So we've been totally manipulated into, we don't know either right now. We don't know ourselves and we don't know what's going on around us. Sorry, Joe, go ahead. It went off a little bit there.
Keep going.
Keep going. So folks, right now, the big conspiracy theory is the corona hoax, right? That's the big conspiracy theory they're pushing. I just saw the dog park. They took saran wrap, probably maybe 5-6 boxes of saran wrap, and saran wrapped all the park benches, picnic benches. Now, folks, if you can't see that,
what does that mean? They're putting the plastic covering on the benches for what purpose?
Exactly. The park is blocked off. You can't even go in the park. And they also put those wooden sticks with the orange construction fencing around the playground.
So they closed the playground,
which is already tied up. The swings are all tied up. You can't swing on them. They've already been tied up with caution tape since the 322. Okay. So, you know, if anyone with 2 brain cells to rub together and create a spark can see that something's not right here. This is a test, literally, in tyranny. Like, how much are we willing to take here? How far back are they going to push us?
And this is the wrong one for you people to get 100% on, by the way. So please wake up. Go ahead, Daniel. I'm sorry.
So right now they're testing our compliance on this dry run dress rehearsal to see how much adjustment they need to make for the real one, which is either going to be in the fall, like Joe has been speaking about, when the kids go back to school, or right following that. So this was the last test for the American people. If you don't wake up now, you're not going to have another chance. This was the last dry run. On the next one, they're going to go live. So we're literally, I mean, on the next one, it's going to be at your doorstep, you know. So where's your line in the sand, folks? Where's your line in the sand? And I've been talking to a lot of people. I run into a lot of people on a daily basis at work and everything. I got a huge workforce that I work with. And as an average, what I've seen in society is the only people that have an open mind a little bit are the young people. I talk to baggers at grocery stores. They're awake. They're like, they know about 5G. They know. But people that I talk to, once you start getting 55 and older, they're just like gone. They're unhelpable. Why is that, folks? Why is that? What's wrong with you guys, baby boomer generation and kids of baby boomers? What's going on? Why can't you take information from a regular human being like me and Joe and apply it? But you can look at that television and be brainwashed to all hell by it. And then when people like you, me and Joe come and tell you, then it's like the give us Barabbas type of thing. What's going on, folks? You got to get a drink of water. By the way, folks, this is the official water of the White House. It's in a green bottle because of all the reptilians that are in there. All right.
All right, folks, if you're just joining us, this is my friend Daniel, and this is Joe Imbriano, the Fullerton Informer. We're coming to you live from the studios in Fullerton, California. And Fullerton is one of the hottest places in the nation for the past 2 days. And it's because Fullerton's got a lot of hot information for this nation, folks. And you're hearing some of it right now. you've got to understand that there's a reason they gave us cartoons as children, because the coronavirus is a cartoon character, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. The only place the coronavirus exists is on the television. Okay, if you shut the if you shut the television off, the coronavirus will go away. Did any of you ever realize that out there? All of these deaths in the hospitals, the deaths in the hospitals. Do you know that the federal government is paying extra money to label deaths as COVID deaths? The hospitals are making way more money off of bagging and tagging. And when I say that, I mean, people are dying from things like, and I've said this over and over again, I've got to get it through all of your minds and understand this. You're being freaked out right now by a massive psychological warfare operation that is literally being waged on us by a bunch of black magicians that serve Satan, folks. And they're not hiding it. And they're laughing at us. And I'm gonna stop talking here in just a minute, but I need you to understand, the coronavirus is a cartoon character. It does not exist in real life. And all you have to do is look at the picture of the thing, and it looks like one of those NASA green screened rejects with a a bunch of pollen holders on it from a citrus blossom or something. I mean, it's an insult. All right. So if you want to make the coronavirus go away, Donald Trump, shut the TV off, because then the coronavirus is not, you can't see it anymore, because that's the only place it exists. People are not dying from some virus that's giving them respiratory distress. People are getting sick from being locked in their house, not breathing any fresh air. I mean, you put a mask on, folks, I'll wear a respirator, because I'll be honest with you, I don't want the stupidity of everyone to get into my lungs. And that quite possibly could be something they're putting in the air. I don't want to catch it. Okay, folks. The coronavirus is a cartoon character.
It's a product
of
coronavirus,
animation.
folks. Here's the coronavirus. Look at it. Hey, nobody's dying from anything but coronavirus anymore. No more car accident deaths. No more terrorists. Global warming. That Greta chick's gone. The only thing is coronavirus. Coronavirus.
It's a cartoon character. And you know what, folks? I'll be honest with you. Our parents, they've sold us out. Our parents' generation has sold my generation out. And my generation is selling itself out for a bunch of stupid Teslas and, ridiculous trips on Disney cruises and stuff. So, you can come back 20 pounds heavier with more cavities in your children's mouth. Folks, it's not worth it. Seriously. I mean, look what they've done to us. Everybody's walking around with a mask on. I'll be honest with you. I can't even look and see a smile in people's faces anymore. And everybody, you try to talk to somebody and they back away from you like you're going to kill them or something. What have they done? They've got us all separated, so we can't communicate. We can't exchange smiles and glances and be high five and hugs and handshakes. I still do all that. Because look, folks, I don't believe in cartoon characters. All right. I got rid of my stuffed animals after I graduated from kindergarten. And it's time for you to get rid of your stuffed animals, because this thing is a freaking stuffed animal. And shut your cartoons off and go look at the reality, folks. Where's all the dead people from this supposed virus? I'll tell you what's getting killed: your jobs, your businesses, the psyche of your children, the hopes and dreams of the homecoming queen that didn't get a chance to walk on the court. These people who have had their lives turned upside down for a cartoon character. And all it is put on by is the people who run the Disney Channel, for crying out loud. Now, look, by the way, Daniel's here tonight to just show you how ridiculous everything is and how seriously, dangerously ridiculous this whole scenario is. So I've inserted myself enough. And by the way, this to some of you guys, this may be old information, okay? Some of us have been awake for a long time. Some of us are just waking up. I mean, not everybody watching these videos has been awake since Bill Cooper took the bullet, folks. I mean, let's face it. Some of us have just fallen off the turnip truck and we're facing head up instead of face down. So, we need to make people realize that the whole system's a fraud, and it's top down. I mean, whether it's the intelligence agencies, whether it's the churches, whether it's the FBI, the CIA, the Justice Department, the ATF, or the local police department, the sheriff's department, the prison workers union, the city councils, even down to the volunteer commissions in your city are corrupt as all heck, folks. Trust me, I know. I live in Fullerton. Fullerton is a very corrupt city, and I know the slithering idiots from the floor all the way to the 10th floor of City Hall, folks. And they all got one thing in common. They crawl on their belly. All right, go ahead, Daniel.
Folks, our governmental systems at every level, city, state, community, they've all been, infiltrated, and they've actually recruited the most corruptible human beings to, I mean, Joe and I have been to these council meetings. You're looking into black-eyed people. You're presenting them information that's going to harm children there and their own as well. They just look at you like, they're not even there. They're not present. So these folks who are controlling the show are trying to destroy, America and this way of life that people have become accustomed to here. Right now, they're destroying the economy by putting everybody out of work. We got like 60% Americans are service industry. That's all shut down. They're crashing the dollar. Right now, oil is at negative $38 a barrel. So basically, in theory, you got to pay somebody $38 to take a barrel off your hand. It's still like, what, $2.50 at the pumps or whatever. So they should be paying us to get it. But,
I can stop you right here.
Go ahead.
What he just told you about the oil. I talked a few years ago about the reason why you can get a sack of beans for $5 in the United States. You can get a sack of rice for $5 in the United States. Anywhere else in the world, you need a sack of beans to get a sack of rice. We have a currency that is based on the petrodollar and oil exchange. And if the price of oil keeps going negative, we're going to have negative interest rates in the United States. And Donald Trump hinted and spoke and said, maybe we should have negative interest rates in the United States. I want to tell you something, folks. If we have negative interest rates in the United States, it's not going to cost you $5 for a sack of beans. It's going to cost you a sack of rice and your daughter for a sack of beans. Exactly. And I'm not kidding.
Exactly.
So you need to start realizing what Daniel's talking about is these are magicians, sorcerers, murderers, monsters, liars, thieves, everything wrapped into somebody that wraps themselves in the American flag and stands in front of a podium, and they play musical chairs with the seal and the White House on it, to try to head trip you and think something's going on. This country has been controlled by the banking institution since 1913, almost lock, stock, and barrel, folks. No transfer of power has taken place with Trump. That transfer of power took place when they blew the Titanic up after they switched the ships, and JP Morgan got his massive insurance fraud payment and killed the people that were trying to come over here to the United States to stop that meeting on Jekyll Island from setting up the banking system that destroyed the United States by giving them the right to turn reams of paper into nothing but debt instruments that give a select group of people the power to build skyscrapers and mine our health and labor and natural resources and centralize everything. And now they're folding up the monopoly table, and you're walking around with a mask on wondering where your stimulus check is. Folks, stop. You got to break out. You guys are living in a cartoon. And Daniel is here to tell you that this cartoon is a very, very, very serious frame by frame head trip. Continue.
And what Joe just said about the creature from Jekyll Island, that was the final nail in the coffin to take over, what Americans are working for. Now we're working for funny money. So originally, when the Roman Empire wanted to take over England and Scotland and Ireland, before they actually physically took it over, they needed to take over the monetary system, just like Amstel Rothschild said. He goes, I don't care who's writing the laws or controlling the military. Just let me control the monetary system in the country, and I'll just control the whole thing. It doesn't matter. So the Roman Empire set up the city of York, and that's how they were controlling the monetary system in England. Then when they needed to control the monetary system in America, they set up New York. And this is why New York is the Empire State. It's the British Empire. When people finally got enough of their shit and started, taking their rights back from these redcoats, these evildoers who are now in black Kevlar on our streets, who were sent all the way across the ocean to take people's rights away. Finally, people, in Philadelphia they couldn't take it anymore. They're like, I'd rather be dead than live under this kind of tyranny. So out of a state of love, knowing that they may be walking into certain death, because the British Empire, British Army was that was the biggest army in the world at the time. These guys were basically going into certain death to fight this, and the opening volley started in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And this is why Philadelphia is called the city of brotherly love, after the Greek word philos, which means agape, or brotherly love. because these guys were brothers. They're like, listen, we got to get, they're taking our rights, they're taking our families, they're taking everything from us. We gotta step up. And this is who the 3%ers were, folks. 3% of the population stood up and fought the British Army and won, folks. Can we get 3% or more now? What are we talking about right now? What are we dealing with on the streets?
Well, I think we still got 3%. I mean, they're doing us a favor with this mask business. We could see how many people are awake. 97 out of 100. There's way more people saying no. Okay, I'll tell you something. I was in a bank the other day. I was at a credit union, and I was cashing a check. And there was a bunch of people behind me, and they all had masks on. And this one lady was ridiculous. Go ahead. That's okay, Daniel. We're good.
Got it.
And I turned around, and all the windows had people at them, and the place had about 30 people in line behind me. And I said, I didn't have a mask on. And I said, since when can you walk into a bank with a bandana and a mask on and nobody calls the police? And I turned around and I said, the virus is a lie. This is a joke. This is ridiculous. And you know what happened? Two people, there were five windows. Two people that were up there with their masks took their masks off and says, I agree with you. I believe you're right. And then I started talking about the 5G and the weaponized Wi-Fi they're putting in. And everybody was like, wow. Folks, we got way more than 3%. I'm telling you right now, these guys, I'll tell you right now, they're going to lose.
And what Joe mentioned, how everybody seems, everybody's sad. You don't see a smile on it. Well, you can't even see anybody's face. They're covered. But I was at Home Depot earlier today, and I needed to get some. I see the line's too long, and I don't have time to wait. I had to go to work. But what I did do is I hopped out of my car real quick. There's about 25 people in line. I said, ladies and gentlemen, this is a public service announcement. Please listen carefully. The coronavirus is a hoax. I repeat, the coronavirus is a hoax to lead to forced vaccinations. The real disease is in the vaccine. Do not take any vaccines. Do not turn in your guns. Do not let them test you. This has been a public service announcement. And I had people literally clapping, like 5-6 people came over to my car. And I'm like, listen, I got to go to work. They wanted to come over, shake my hand and talk to me. So
good way to pick up women at your age, too, isn't it?
So
I've been married for 21 years, folks. I'm not in the market, but
people
Daniel is, by the way. If any of you ladies out there are interested in my friend here, send me your contact information, and I'll forward you Daniel's email. Right? Is that a fair proposition?
This is now the dating game.
I mean, hey, any of you out there?
Bachelorette number 3.
Interested? How old are you?
What do you like to
Daniel,
do?
How old are you?
33. 33 backbones.
Hey, he's 33. I'm 53. Okay, I got 20 years on him. He actually could be he could be my son. All right, but the bottom line is he's available and he's awake, ladies. And by the way, he has a job and he's a gentleman. So, all right, could you back to the topics here?
Let me get, now that we've got on the number 33. So we know that everything.
33 minutes. 33
minutes, and also, not only that, you see, everything we've been told is inverted. The principal tenet of Satanism and the operational tenet is inversion. They invert everything. So if they tell you the 33rd degree of Freemasonry is the highest level, then what does it actually mean? It's the lowest level. And let me explain that. You're never going to hear this either anywhere else. So the earth is 75-80% water. We're 75-80% water. As above, so below, everything's fractal. At what temperature is water frozen at? 32 degrees. At what temperature does water unfreeze? At 33 degrees. So the 33rd degree is actually a measure of temperature. So if your consciousness is flowing in your water and you're still frozen, that means the degrees from 1 to 32 are useful idiots. They don't know anything. The first level of Freemasonry is the 33rd degree when your water unfreezes. So that's where they get the 33rd degree of Freemasonry, not the 33 vertebrae in your backbone, or that they crucified Yeshua at 33 years old either. That's what it really means. And the reason they got Mayday at 5-1 and Area 51 is because they know if 51% of us wake up, it's over instantly. So that's why the big 51, it's the quantum shift. Quantum means number. 51% is a majority. If we shift our consciousness, 51% of the people, it's over. So this is where all your occult numerology comes from. And you got this season of sacrifice because of the, the spring equinox.
Talk about that. That's very important.
So you got equinox, equal nox, night, equal night. So that's when it's equal night and day. And then it also happens in the fall, and then summer and winter, you got the solstices. But as you're, it's getting to the equinox, then the sun goes through us, passes over a certain point. Then you have the Passover, and the same thing at Christmas, when you have those 3 days where the sun is basically what they call dead, and then it's reborn again. So it's just it's a solar cult, and what they've ascribed these teachers and messengers throughout our history that have been sent to this earth to teach humanity, they've ascribed these solar cult religions over their works. So Jesus is now the sun of the and the light of the world. So the sun, S-O-N, or the sun, S-U-N. So they're ascribing his works over the sun and not telling us all the details that we need to know to fight the real evil. Now, Christianity is considered the sun cult, or Constantinianity. That's why the holy day is Sunday. Now, Islam is considered the moon cult, so that's why their holy day is the moon day. And no, it's not Monday, it's actually Friday, because the moon goddess is Freya, so Freya day, Friday. And then Judaism is the stars and the rest of the planet. So you have the greater light, the sun, the lesser light, the moon, and then the rest of the stars and planets, and that's Judaism, and that's why their holy day is Saturn Day or Saturday. So this is all just a solar cult that's created these watered down religions and pigeonholed people into them in order to water down and pussify the message that was laid down by messengers and prophets. So this is where your holidays come from, folks. And you got your Easter, which is Ishtar, and you got the Ishtar Gate in Iraq, which was the door to enter Babylon. You could check that out on the internet. It's still there. It's all blue tiles and got all their sigils on it and everything. Go ahead, Joe.
Well, look, folks, when I was a little kid, they taught me that if you just listen to the teacher, I was a, Boy Scout and a Cub Scout, listen to the teacher, respect the police, and, get good grades and behave yourself, and go to work and pay your taxes, and you'll have a good life, right? Well, folks, look at how we've been betrayed by everybody I just said. I mean, I went to Catholic school, folks, and at the very top of the Catholic Church, it's really a solar death cult. I mean, they got the sun god on the tabernacle, and they got a dead body hanging on the cross up there like it's their trophy or something,
right?
And it's like, the Jesus Christ that I serve, he ain't there. He kicked the door off the tomb and he blasted through the thing, raising dead people, and he went to town, folks, and he is the example. He's the way. But what they gave us as children were these emasculated lies. Everything was watered down, and we were lied to. And now look what they're doing to us. Look what they're doing. I mean, for lack of a better term, folks, they are literally setting us up as sheep for slaughter. I mean, they've got us. Okay, you can't go with a mask. Do you people understand how bad that is to breathe carbon dioxide? Okay, you see this right here? These aren't leaves. I'm not a plant. I don't breathe CO2. CO2 comes out my mouth, and oxygen is supposed to go in. They got you breathing CO2. Now, some of you out there driving around in your car with your windows up, and you got the mask on, you go home, you keep the mask on, keep the windows closed, and you're not getting any air. You're going to get sick, and you're going to go to the hospital. You know what they're going to do? They're going to get a $2,000 to $3,000 bonus to kill you and call you a COVID patient because you came in with a respiratory concern, even though you're actually going to die from kidney failure because you had way too much Diet Joke, too much Dolly Madison, and too much Hell Taco drive-through. And by the way, I'll tell you, years back when I moved, I had to go find boxes, and so I had to go behind all these restaurants to get empty boxes to box up all our stuff, because I didn't want to pay a bunch of guys to come steal and break all my stuff and charge me all this money. And I couldn't believe the ingredients on these boxes in these fast food restaurants. They're chemistry sets, folks. So it's like, that's why people are getting sick and dying. It has nothing to do with some cartoon character thing they call a virus, folks. Everything's a lie. Come on, man. And everyone that I've just mentioned, the Catholic priests were molesting the children. And I went to a place in a Catholic church in Santa Ana. I went to a Catholic high school in Santa Ana. And the priest who was the principal of the high school was taking boys up to the mountains and molesting them. I mean, folks, this is crazy. We've been betrayed. The police in my community, they murder people, they frame people. I mean, the whole everything's gone.
They
folks.
protect the true criminals. They protect the true criminals.
I have a friend of mine. I won't get into too much detail, but they had the confession of these kids who literally raped these minors. And there was like a 3-year difference between these boys and these 15-year-olds, and over 3 years. And they had confessions. The DA wouldn't prosecute because the parents have connections to the DA's office. And these boys admitted that they got them drunk and raped them. And you know, I think these boys were like 21 or something, and these girls were like 15 or 16. I mean, it was bad. And the detectives from the police department, the jurisdictional agency that was investigating this, got the confessions, and the DA wouldn't bring charges. That's how corrupt things are, folks. They're protecting criminals. The FBI is protecting pedophiles. And by the way, you know, the Getty, at some point we got to talk.
We got to go up there.
We got to go up there, folks.
Do a show from the Getty.
And don't believe this QAnon crap that, you know, they're liberating the tunnels.
Folks, get on the train. Q's waiting at the camp. Trust the plan. You freaking idiots. You got to be joking me, folks. Come on. The politicians are going to save you from the government they work for. The doctors are going to save you from the medical system they've been brainwashed by. Come on, folks. We got to use our brains. We can't be that dumb or we got no chance. We've been sold an illusion. See this? Who took a bite out of that apple, folks? What is that? Everything we've been presented is a scam. Everything. We got to...
Well, you talk about sigils. What's a sigil? Tell the audience what a sigil is.
A sigil is usually a sacred geometric shape that they put over a certain area to aggregate energy. See, in Italian, these demonic energies that form are called egregores, that aggregate energy. So as soon as something perverse or something based in fear, they start creating almost like a funnel to the demonic realm to suck this energy up. I've heard a lady who's a seer say that when she drove by a strip club one time, she was
probably
just
hovering over the
shocked
top
that she saw literally a UFO with a funnel over the strip club that was sucking the energy up, and they were just feasting on it inside, like around a fire pit.
Some people can see things that others can't, I guess, folks. But the reality is, let's talk about this season of sacrifice and the harvest that they're harvesting our fear right now, and they're getting off on. Daniel, talk about that, please.
Yeah, some people know this as loosh or fear energy, which this demonic realm is consuming as food. They don't eat sandwiches or ribeyes or whatever like we eat. They eat low vibrational frequencies. The lowest vibration is fear, the opposite of which would be love. So that's like kryptonite to them. So they need to keep us in a state of fear on earth in order that we may provide a buffet for them. So they've created this control structure to keep us in fear, these governments to always keep us needing to work more. And basically the planet is so plentiful that everybody could have everything they needed, but they're artificially creating scarcity in every which way, food, water, and everything. And that creates fear. That means everybody, even rich people, I know they got to go to work. You know, they're still working. I'm like, what the hell are you working for? You got like a multi-million-dollar house. They're like, well, you know, you never know. So even rich people are not really that comfortable. Everybody's in a state of, I don't know what's going to happen. You know, you never know. So nobody's living in a state of just existing on the land and like a real human community. All our humanity's been taken away. This whole human experience has been usurped by this false prophet known as government, which is actually the New World Order. You see, folks, the old world order was kings and queens. People figured out that was absolute bullshit. So they started rebelling against that. So the folks who were controlling those kings, the bankers, they're like, okay, we got to figure out another system. We can't have like one person in charge. It's too obvious. What we'll do is we'll create this system and diffuse it into an appearance of a bunch of people controlling the show. And we'll call it government or the corporation of mind control. Then within that, we'll create this Hegelian dialectic and the illusion of two sides fighting against each other, which there is no two sides, folks. You got the Democons and the Republicans. They're both going to con you, but you know, they're presented to us as, you know, the left and the blue, the donkey cult and the elephant cult, folks. You know, the red and blue. And the red, this is why the sirens are red and blue, and the flags are all red and blue. North versus south, red and blue. East versus west, red and blue. Everything's red and blue. And the reason is because they're harvesting our energy through this. How does the energy move around through our body? through our blood, which is what color? Red and blue, oxygenated and unoxygenated, systolic, diastolic. So these are like sigils, you know. Even the blue and red is a sigil, because we don't understand what it means. They know it means an energy harvest, you know. And then we get up to these red, white, and it's actually a blue and red flag. The white is inconsequential. So we're all bowing to these sigils. The flag is a sigil, folks. Is that good?
Yeah, you know, sigils have power, folks. You know, I'm not into the occult. I'm a Christian. My Lord is Jesus Christ. I follow the one who paid it all and who walked out of that tomb and blew the rocks away and freaked everybody out, and walked on water, raised the dead, cured the sick, healed the blind, and ascended into heaven. And I believe he's still up there on top of that dome right now, looking down, saying, "You guys are doing a great job." But here's the deal, folks. Apple's corporate headquarters in Cupertino, California.
That's a sigil.
That's a sigil, folks. And let me tell you something. If you go to WiFiDangers.com or Apple666.org, you can see the landscape architecture plans from the Cupertino City Council's website for their $5 billion headquarters. And you'll see a sigil, which is really several cross sections of the human egg with a particular component missing called the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. And that is the subcellular component of the human egg that runs what's called the Zona reaction. The Zona reaction is that instantaneous reaction that takes place when one sperm hits the egg and it immediately hardens and makes sure no other sperm get in there. And that way you have fertilization. You have one sperm, one egg, and you have a human being. That's how we got here. Well, if you look at the Defense Intelligence Agency report on microwaves from like 1976, I think it's on page 13, if I'm not mistaken.
Are you sure 13?
I believe it is.
Or 33?
And it talks about, yeah, it might be on page 33, or 322, or section 32.2, or on page 9, section
66.6.
But if you look on that document, it talks about, it shows that microwave, non-thermal power levels of microwave radiation at the Wi-Fi frequency causes morphological changes to the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. What that means is that the microwaves are tweaking a subcellular component. Now, if you go into your car and you pull off one of the wires off of your ignition system, you're going to have major problems. That thing's not going to work right, and it's eventually going to break or burn up or blow up, and you're going to leave it alone and walk away from it. The eggs are being damaged by the microwaves. They're taking a piece of the infrastructure of the human eggs, and they're damaging them with the microwaves. That's what the infertility pad's all about. That's what Apple's all about. Apple's a satanic corporation.
Let me dumb that one thing down, Joe.
$666.66 your first computer.
Let me dumb that one thing down. This Zona reaction that Joe's talking about with the blue light, it's no different than when the dentist is fixing your tooth and he puts that soft in there and hits it with the blue light and then it hardens. If that can't harden, then you just got all this soft mush in your mouth, and you try to eat, it's going to all go away. You'll still be missing a chip off your tooth. It's the same basic function. It's not allowing the Zona reaction, so that part can't harden. So now it can never form an egg.
That's how they sterilize you with an infertility pad, folks. But you know, here's the thing: Apple's at it again with their AirPod Pros or whatever. They want the
Apple.
Apple.
Who took the bite out of their Apple?
They're at it again. They're going to put the tracking systems on your head to put the bullseye. They're going to put the bullseye on your face to beam the 60 gigahertz beamforming millimeter wave oxygen destroying frequency at you. So, you know, the sigil that they got in Cupertino, now they're just using demonic possession commercials.
Folks, you want to look at these sigils, go on Google Maps or whatever and go over the Getty Center, and right where they're saying that they can hear children yelling from underground, the sigil's right above it.
We got to go there.
And then in Disneyland, they have
Is it closed?
I think so right now. But
where's that location you're talking about where you can hear the children?
Well, I'll have to show you when we get there. So
folks, who's the other guy that's been exposed in the Getty for years? You know, it's been David P. Kelly, Stephen B. Kelly.
They have another sigil very similar to the one at the Getty in Disneyland, right next to the Space Needle, folks. The Space Needle is actually a scalar antenna. You know, it's sending out energy to the demonic realm, and they have sigils usually right next to these antennas. So right now, from my understanding, the main harnessing point for all the demonic energy is the Eiffel Tower in Paris, and right next to it you have the Arc de Triomphe, which is actually looks like a magnetic capacitor. They have the same thing in Washington, D.C. And if you look at the layout of the Vatican and how St. Peter's Basilica and everything, and it's like a key and all that, these are all sigils. They don't just do the architecture for this stuff that costs trillions of dollars. Like, hey, go get an architect and, have them draw up some plans. No, folks, black magicians are doing these plans. That's how these things are done. Look at the way that the Washington Monument and the and all the stuff in Washington D.C. is all set up, and the measurements between them all these things are sigils on a grand scale and on a smaller scale. These are all energy harnessers. They're harnessing our compliance energy when it has to do with government, and then they're also harnessing our pussification energy under these religions that they've maligned, where we're just supposed to sit here and take it, when Jesus did the opposite. We're supposed to just bend over and take it, when he lost his life fighting against this bullshit. That man fought against the government of his day, which were the Roman emperors. He fought against the monetary system of his day, which is the same monetary system we still have today. And he fought against the religious order of his day, which was the Pharisees and the Sadducees. And he exposed them for all being controlled by the same source. And as soon as he went into the temples and pulled those money changers out for taking people for a ride with those temple coins that they were going to pay to go to heaven, he whooped their asses a couple times and told people, if these guys ever come back, just whoop their ass straight up. Don't even let them come here. And in less than a week, he was on a cross. And then you had Lincoln, who tried to print greenbacks, which were real money. They took him out. The Rothschilds paid one of their agents, John Wilkes Booth, to go meet him at a play. And then JFK, same thing. He tried to, he tried to get rid of the Federal Reserve and woke up somewhat. And, he
was printing $5 United States notes.
Yeah,
folks.
He was printing actual, what you would call real money backed by something real. And then he got blown away by his forehead got blown off from a bullet from behind. Yeah, that's what happened. Go ahead, Joe.
Well, look, folks, I want to get back to the reality is the coronavirus is a cartoon character. So shut your TV off and it'll go away. Little children, they think these monsters are real, but they just really have to shut the TV off and they won't be afraid of it anymore. Shut the TV off, folks. The masks are part of a Masonic ritual they've got us all participating in, folks. This is really bad. And, I've talked about their plan, and you want to trust the plan, folks.
Yeah.
You want to trust the plan. Their plan is to get you to believe that this virus is real when it's really a cartoon character, and they prove it's a cartoon character because it's an animation. But they want you to walk around wearing a mask because it's a Masonic ritual. They're going to turn on the 60 gigahertz weaponized Wi-Fi system. So, by the way, 2 days ago, the FCC just approved the 6 gigahertz ban for unlicensed use in the United States. And, oh, gosh, 6 gigahertz just happens to be the absorption spectrum frequency of iodine.
Oh, what a coincidence.
I mean, now, okay, so they've been screwing with the water and the girls' eggs with the infertility pads in the schools. And all you people that have laughed at me, and I'm going to make this point right now. For years and years and years, you all told me I was crazy and I didn't know what I was talking about. I was a conspiracy theorist. And now they've turned the world upside down and got you all wearing Halloween costumes to go out of your prison. You've all been sent to your room. And now you got to wear a Halloween costume and stand in line to go get your Hot Pockets. Who's the crazy one now?
Anyone still using phrases like conspiracy theorist or tinfoil hat? These are mind control phrases that were put out by the CIA, folks, in 1967 after people who had 2 brain cells realized that Kennedy wasn't blown away. His forehead wasn't blown off by a bullet from behind, and the Warren Commission was complete nonsense. So the CIA, and you can still find this document on the internet, they put out a document to their Mockingbird media to start calling people conspiracy theorists who were questioning the bullshit. And then, you had the tinfoil hat, which came out when people were questioning these technologies that they were occulting. Oh,
hang on for a second. Go work in the ICU and see the people dying. You know what, folks? People are dying in the ICU every freaking day of the week. So don't give me your nurse baloney. All the nurses I know are getting furloughed. All the people I know that work in hospitals say the hospitals are empty. Every time I drive by a hospital, it looks like a homeless camp and a 2-bit security guard out front and no ambulance out back. It's a joke, folks. This is a ritual, and they're going to go live with this thing in the fall when they put the millimeter wave systems in the schools and they put your children back in there.
And as a nurse, you're not educated enough to know what they tell you, if it's right or wrong anyways. The doctor's just telling you, and you're going to administer the poison that they write on the paper for you. That's all you're going to do as a nurse. So, I mean, I have friends that are nurses and ex-girlfriends and stuff. Anyone with the word doctor in front, just look the other way. These folks have been brainwashed absolutely and completely for 20 years, had their brain beaten into a desk through the Rockefeller system. And, you know, the petropharmaceutical companies are the ones running the curriculum for I went to these same schools, folks. The thing is, I don't have the heart to sell poison for a paycheck, and I don't wear a snake emblem on my lapel, you know, to show that I'm selling snake oil. I mean, even they're labeled. They're just like a NASCAR driver. You know, the NASCAR driver's got all his sponsors on there. He's got Pennzoil and all this stuff. The doctor's got that Caduceus snake emblem. He's got the Red Cross logo. he's got all his sponsors on
but
there
all
too.
you notice are the 20 letters after his name on his lapel, right? I mean, the guy's loaded up with all the Masonic and satanic symbols, and he's okay. It is a joke. All right, well, we're going almost an hour. We got to have you back on again, because there ain't enough time to cover all this, right? Okay, here's a really Reader's Digest version, folks. The Pirates of the Caribbean is not a ride at Disneyland. The Pirates of the Caribbean is actually a ride that you're all on right now, and they're stealing all of your money. And they're stealing all your money, and they're sending it all to Puerto Rico, and they just hit the whole place with a geoengineered hurricane. Now they put the 5G all over there. They're depopulating the place. So they got all their gold, they got all their beachfront, and they're not going to have any 5G once they get rid of everybody.
We can't go another hour. I got to go to work.
We're going to get all this stuff here, but here's the deal, folks. Don't put your kids in those schools in the fall, because if they go live in the fall, which is what they're telling us, they're going to have another round of this. It's going to be real, and the respiratory distress is not going to be caused by the cartoon character on the TV. It's going to be caused by that thing on the ceiling in the classroom that's got these really dangerous frequency weapons. And if you listen, I'm going to tell you something right now. No one wants to talk about 60 gigahertz, folks, and they're all out there pushing the cartoon character. All they want to talk about is the cartoon character. Virus, Smirus. 60 gigahertz is a directed energy weapon, folks. 60 gigahertz millimeter wave wide gig Wi-Fi systems are directed energy weapons, and Apple's in the business of making sure they lock right onto your nose and your mouth with their AirPods. And the technology of the AirPods is getting bigger. They're not getting smaller. Something's wrong here.
And section 13 of the vaccine insert shows you that's a bioweapon.
So it's a binary weapon system. And actually, there's a couple more. The chloroxyquin is going to script your hemoglobin, make you more susceptible to 60 gigahertz attack, as well as the cold plasma reactive oxygen species generating systems that you're going to be putting in the air conditioners to make sure, as a condition that your gym opens back up, they have air purification, which actually puts out reactive oxygen species in the air that you breathe that will damage your lungs permanently, making you susceptible to respiratory ailments as they keep the vape shops open and they put 60 gigahertz Wi-Fi in the classrooms and in the buses and everywhere else. So you get beam-farmed with this stuff that takes your breath away. And all these circus clown shills are out there talking about the cartoon character virus, and they won't touch 60 gigahertz with a 10-foot pole because they're working for the cabal that won't let them talk about it. Okay, I'm going to end this right now. I want all you folks to stay strong and don't wear your masks and protest. Don't turn in your guns. Get right with God. If you have time, get into the Bible and learn some courage and some wisdom. Shut off your stupid programming by these disgusting, vile, pedophile, blood-drinking, cowardly scum that are feeding off of all of our fear. Shut them down. I mean, I've had friends that were addicts. You know what? I don't give them money. I let them fall asleep on the sidewalk face down with the trucks running by. That's what we got to do to these people, folks. We got to shut them off.
Tough love,
and don't let them into your jugular and feed them fear and perversion and filth, because that's what they want. This is Joe Imbriano and my friend Daniel here. We're going to cut this. You folks have a great night, and guess what? Tomorrow's another day that they're afraid of us, and that's the way we want it. And in Jesus' name we go, folks. Take care.